dear viewers, you're welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Équinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babler Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, at least 10 families are rendered homeless, and a section of the Limbe Quarter first instance in the southwest region of the country set ablaze in two separate fire incidents. Our correspondent Davidson Maimo will be filing in details in this newscast. Close to 2,500 confirmed cases of the COVID-19 have been recorded in the Republic of Cameroon. The COVID-19 figures continue rising. The confirmed cases, deaths, and number of persons treated are all on the rise, and the Lakentini Hospital is progressively being killed by the COVID-19. The health amenity in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, one of the focal points of the COVID-19 response in President Paul Biya's country, is suffering the adverse effects of the COVID-19 in its income and activities. Stay with us. Cameroon is now counting 2,265 confirmed cases of coronavirus. In the meantime, 1,221 cases have been successfully treated and 26 deaths have been recorded. These figures that emerged from the weekly video conference meeting of the Inter-Ministerial Committee in charge of managing the COVID-19 pandemic that took place today in Yaoundé. It was chaired by Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Diangoute, and the meeting took place via a video conference, and the administrative authorities made a review of the COVID-19 situation of the Republic of Cameroon, the situation that continues worsening with the increasing number of COVID-19 cases in the country. And of course, the ministers were given instructions by the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph Diangoute, and how government is stepping up the fight against the coronavirus in the country. And two cases have also been recorded in the town of Kuseri in the far north region of the country. All the 10 regions of Cameroon are now affected by the coronavirus. In the meantime, the population continued disrespecting the anti-COVID-19 measures of the Cameroon government and the World Health Organization. Many people continue streaming into beer parlors and other entertainment or leisure sites in contradiction to the social distancing rule and all other measures put in place by the government and the World Health Organization to stop the spread of coronavirus. And the ministers met today and discussed this issue, and the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph Diangoute, said the fact that government has lifted some of the restrictions does not mean that the COVID-19 has been defeated. All must continue to respect the COVID-19 measures. However, that is not the case in many parts of Cameroon, as Immaculée Fogwe reports.
Following the decision of the government to lift the 6 p.m. curfew on bars, snack bars and other entertainment centers in Cameroon, several hotspots across the town of Banga in the Mongo Division, Lithra region of Cameroon, have regained steam as many of the drinking spots are now jammed to capacity. Many of those found the different snack bars are not respecting government's anti-COVID-19 measures, thus exposing themselves to infection. I have the impression that these people do not understand the barrier measures taken by the government. You could see them in bars sitting very close to each other without their face mask. It seems as if everything has come back to normal. Having seen the high influx of people in drinking spots, the divisional officer of Banga has ordered for the disinfection of drinking spots, restaurants and markets. According to the government, the objective to lift the 6 p.m. lockdown on drinking spots, restaurants and leisure centers was to limit the economic impact of COVID-19 on businesses. but Cameroonians have flooded into bars and related avenues in gross disrespect of other measures such as the wearing of face masks and social distancing.
The syndicate of councils in the known division has told the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, that local inhabitants no longer need soap, buckets and gloves, but COVID-19 test kits and respirators. In a letter to the President of the Republic, the municipal officials saying they do not want DOs or divisional officers to lead them in the fight against COVID-19. They want to handle things themselves. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
Addressing President Paul Biya through the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, the syndicates of councils of the known division of the West region of Cameroon demand that the pass, measures and resources to fight COVID-19 be given directly to the local population and not through complex procedures. Though thankful for the anti-COVID-19 gifts sent by President Paul Biya, the municipal officials strongly criticized the long and unnecessary path taken for the goods to reach them. From the President of the Republic to the Governor, to the senior divisional officer and finally to mayors, which according to them is not necessary. Considering today's Cameroon and the effective decentralization song, the mayors question why they should instead be placed as mere members of the subcommittees created by divisional officers to fight COVID-19. They considered this as interference, condemning in serious terms, and went further to call for a true and effective decentralization in Cameroon, highlighting that Cameroon must not go back to the beginning. The mayors say they should have been consulted in order to better understand the dire needs of their populations, which as of this stage has gone beyond savon, face masks, hand sanitizers, hand washing buckets and hand gloves. They say what communities in Cameroon needs today are test kits, respiratory machines and social as well as health management of COVID-19 cases, the equipment of sites to host patients and means to bury victims of the pandemic. The syndicates of councils of the known division say time is now to give pass to mayors to fight COVID-19 in their local areas. They should not be imposed senior divisional officers as president of local committees to fight COVID-19. They also want the government of Cameroon to consult them and see how to develop strategies already put in place by mayors to fight COVID-19 in their respective council areas in Cameroon.
And the impact of the COVID-19 has provoked a public protest in the Kutaba in the West region of the Republic of Cameroon. The traders of the Kutaba main market went on a rampage protesting against what they qualify as illegal operations of some council authorities who decided to seal some shops on grounds that they have not paid their taxes. Details with Sumanjik and Gabriel.
Business operators at the Kutaba main market are angry. They are disappointed at the tax collectors who came to ask for money.
Je vous assure,
we can't support these tax personnel in Kutaba. It's too much. I'm not here to joke. We are tired. After leaving my confinement room, today they are out to lock our business places. Point 11 on the PM's order, which was released on April 30, 2020, which saw the government relaxing some of its orders against the fight of corona, was on the exemption for the second quarter from the withholding tax and council taxes. It is on this that the business women at the Kutaba main market went on rampage. We are really surprised about the behavior of the tax collectors here in Kutaba. As we began our strike, they started telling us that the tax evasion is only for the Bayam Selams are not store owners.
Nous voulons savoir où c'est vrai, où c'est faux.
Many of these women are demoralized at the attitudes put off by the tax collectors who had already sealed some stores because of unpaid taxes.
Vraiment, nous sommes démoralisés ici à Koutaba.
We are demoralized here in Koutaba. There have been confinement for several weeks now.
À vendre, on ferme notre marché de Koutaba à 16 heures.
And we couldn't sell our goods. It's almost 2 months with business fluctuating.
Aujourd'hui là, on vient encore qu'on est venu nous sensibiliser que nous devons payer les impôts, que nous avons très mal compris.
The business operators are now asking if the PM's order exempted them, or it is just a way to steal from the poor Cameroonians who have been suffering from low income since the COVID-19 virus entered the country.
In the same vein, the COVID-19 pandemic is having a significant adverse impact on the Lac Antony Hospital here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, as one of the focal points of the COVID-19 response in the country. The health amenity is recording a drastic drop in its activities and income. Speaking to the press today, the general manager of the hospital, Professor Louis Richanjok, said consultation rate has dropped by 50%. The number of children born in the hospital has reduced. Hospitalization rate is at about 15%. He adds that the number of people visiting the hospital is at the lowest ever. Many of the health personnel are off duty except those treating COVID-19 cases. According to Professor Louis Richanjok, this is because of the belief that his health amenity is now taking care of only COVID-19 cases and the fear of contracting the coronavirus. But he says all measures have been taken to ensure the safety of visitors. As of today, the Lac Antony Hospital has received close to 450 COVID-19 cases. Over 40 of them have died and close to 200 were successfully treated. The others are still under medical attention. On a daily basis, the hospital takes care of 70 to 80 COVID-19 patients. Test kits that were scarce some days back and now available, as according to the Director General of the Lac Antony Hospital. Take a listen to Professor Louis Richanjok.
We realize that the population thinks that Lac Antony now is only doing COVID diagnosis and treatment of the COVID. No, it's not true. We are continuing to be open for the patients suffering from malaria, from diabetes, and the other disease. And we are afraid that those diseases which continue to kill our Cameroonians citizens will continue to be increasing at the level of the population if they don't come to the hospital. Therefore, we have to send the message to the population that we are waiting them. They can come. When they come to the hospital, they will go. The hospital is safe for the non-COVID disease because we'll make a differentiation in between the COVID disease and the others, and the procedure will be safe for those populations. COVID patients are not in the same sector of the others. When you have COVID disease in the hospital, you go to another sector. So you can say a particular sector of the hospital. You are not with the others, in contact with the other patients.
Coming up, we take a look at African traditional medicine solution to the COVID-19 pandemic. Senazi takes us into the fabrication of traditional medicine, and he says that one of those selling herbal remedies for the COVID-19 at the Nkululun market, or one of those selling herbal remedies at the Nkululun market in the Douala subdivision has denied in strong terms they treat the COVID-19 with their products. However, it should be noted that Madagascar has been using traditional medicine to treat COVID-19, and in Cameroon, the Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church's Greece, Samuel Kleda, has also been using herbal medicine to treat COVID-19 cases, and the World Health Organization has warned against the use of untested medicine for the treatment of COVID-19. Equinoxe has more.
Il y a les compositions. Quand c'est que si on compose celui-ci et celui-ci, ça va soigner telle maladie.
Ma Victorine is one amongst many others at the Nkululun market in the Douala 2 municipality who use naturopathic medicine to prevent illnesses, treat malaria and typhoid.
On a plus de trucs pour prévenir les maladies. Aussi, donc c'est naturel, ce que les parents nous donnaient.
With her 20 years experience, she is confident of the natural remedies she prescribes her customers.
Si ne guérissait pas, c'est qu'on ne pouvait pas être là jusqu'aujourd'hui.
Even medical doctors, she sees, order for the herbal treatment.
Les médecins même prennent les remèdes de la typhoïde.
A dose of 5 or 10 liters is prescribed a patient upon presentation of a medical book after consultation in a health center.
On ne peut pas soigner comme ça. Ils font d'abord les examens et ils viennent nous montrer.
According to Mama Victorine, there is no secondary effect after consuming this naturopathic medicine used back at least by forefathers to keep their body healthy.
C'est tout à fait naturel, ça n'a pas de produits chimiques.
Even her customers testify.
Tandis qu'ici, vraiment, jusqu'à maintenant, quand je consomme, je n'ai pas d'effet secondaire.
He affirms all is well once taken the dose.
Mais généralement, quand on prend tout va bien, quoi.
He sees the natural remedies more effective, cheaper and safer than pharmaceutical products.
Oh bon, c'est tout pour le palais. Depuis que je prends ici, sérieusement, je peux faire 3-4 mois et je suis en forme.
Mama Victorine trusted for her treatment says
Nous avons des
she works with a naturopathic doctor who shows her how to compose these herbal treatments.
Il nous montre comment on va composer les produits.
She, however, stresses that her traditional remedies have nothing to do with treatment of coronavirus.
Bon, on ne peut pas dire qu'on traite le corona, on ne traite pas le corona.
She cautions none cures the coronavirus and no one has ever come with it for cure.
A section of the Limbe Court of First Instance in the southwest region of Cameroon has been consumed by wild flames, and the inferno caused enormous material destruction in that institution in the town of Limbe. And our correspondent David Sunmaimo reports.
The core of the Court of First Instance in Limbe is down. Every single document from exhibit, case files, record books, all registered of the court, computers and other office equipment consumed to ashes by the fire. Sources say the fire started at about 1:30 a.m. breaking Thursday, the 7th of May, 2020 at the registry section of the court before spreading to Magistrate Kengo Frederick and Magistrate Nzele offices. We are told the court registrar-in-chief, Ludwig Makaka Williams, who was called by the court security guard, immediately alerted the fire brigade of the National Oil Refinery Sonora. Thanks to their prompt intervention, the fire will have consumed the entire court building. Lawyers who rushed at the scene in the morning were all astonished with the devastating damage.
All my exhibits got burned. I'm not in a good state to talk, honestly, Mr. If I tell you that in the proper state, I beg.
The fire started in the heart of the court, which is the registry, where all the files and all the exhibits are being kept. This means that the court has been paralyzed. We just pray that it should be an act of God. Let it not be that it has been caused by somebody.
Some of the lawyers opined that there is need to construct a befitting legal structure in Limbe.
This is a renovated structure because the first one that got burnt was worse than this, and now they try to manage something better. But we think that even this structure is not befitting as compared to other jurisdictions that we have visited east of the Mongo.
The Sonora Fighting Brigade had to return in the morning after it was noticed that fire was still gaining steam in some of the section at the court. Administrative and local authorities in Southwest, Fako Division and Limbe in particular have all visited the court premises to have first-hand information of the incident. Security forces in Limbe have opened investigation to ascertain the real cause of the fire disaster.
Still in Limbe, I told you in the headlines that at least 10 families have been rendered homeless by another fire incident that occurred in the OPEC city. And our correspondent David Sinmaimo was on the scene, and he finds in details in this report.
These images shows what is left of a 14-room house at Mawo neighborhood in Limbe following a fire disaster in the early hours of Thursday, the 7th of May 2020. Eyewitness accounts say every effort from the neighbors to put off the fire was abortive.
Carry all kind of things, the sand, all tea, water, we throw away them. By ele burn. Ele cross go for the other neighbor and then block them. So take our into around 1 o'clock at night.
Some of the victims say every belonging of theirs consumed by the fire.
I come out with nothing. Even the dresses and well and so like what in jam for me. Come out with nothing with my 2 kids.
It is still unclear what caused the fire incident, as the forces of law and order in Limbe have opened investigation to know the real cause of the disaster. No human life lost, but material loss is said to worth millions of CFA francs. The people of the OPEC city of Limbe continues to cry for the putting in place of a firefighting brigade in Limbe.
Davidson Maimo reporting from the OPEC city of Limbe in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Now in the southwest regional chief town, Boya, the court case of detained Cameroonian journalist Samuel Wazizi of CMTV was on the table in the Fako High Court today, and the journalist was still absent. His whereabouts remains unknown. No information is filtered on what has been happening to him, on his situation, and people are asking questions. Is he dead? Is he alive? Questions difficult to answer with certainty. As of now, he was absent at the Fako High Court today, and the judges said that the habeas corpus petition filed by his lawyers was not done in due respect of the procedures, and so the case remains pending as of now before the court, the Fako High Court in the southwest region of the country. Lawyers, associations of journalists, national and international associations of journalists have been decrying gross violation of human rights. As far as that case is concerned, he has been detained for over 9 months incommunicado, and the journalism associations have been calling for his release to no avail. Now we're going to talk about one of our late colleagues, Flora Z, who died recently, and the television animator will be laid to rest in her native Vogada village in the central region of the Republic of Cameroon. Her mortal remains were removed today from the Nilong District Hospital in the Douala 3 subdivision, and there is going to be a wakekeeping here in Douala today, and later the corpse will be moved to the village in the central region of the country to Mvokngana village through Esse, and she will be buried come Saturday. Flora Z died recently after suffering malaise, and Sugazi Christelle Flora was an animator here in Equinoxe Television and Radio. Her mortal remains were removed from the Nilong District Hospital mortuary today. You can see from those images, colleagues, friends, family members, and fans who came out en masse for the corpse removal of our late colleague Asugaze Christelle Flora, who will be laid to rest in her native Mvok Ghana village through Ese in the central region of the Republic of Cameroon. That's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Thanks for staying with us in Talking Point. Our guest today is joining us from Brussels. Dr. Moise Esso is the secretary or the communication secretary of the Cameroon Patriotic Diaspora. He is a pharmacist. Good evening, doctor. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us today. Before we talk about the issues concerning the Anglophone crisis, let's take a look at the COVID-19 situation of Cameroon and Africa, and of course the world. Beginning from where you are, what's the situation there?
You're talking about the COVID situation?
Yes.
Yes, in fact, here in Europe, countries begin to slowly get out of the quarantine, and they have, I think, managed a little bit the pandemic, and they are trying to get back to a normal life, but slowly, step by step. It is not easy because people have been stayed home for more than 1.5 months, and they're still being afraid because they're still counting deaths every day. And I think that things are not going to get back to the normal before the end of this year.
All right. What about Cameroonians in Brussels? What information are you getting from your fellow compatriots who are there in Brussels? Are they also as badly affected as it is the case with blacks in general in the United States, in the United Kingdom, and elsewhere around the world?
Yes. The situation is quite similar, but not so. Don't have the same level of crisis, but many of black people here in Belgium, especially, have been affected, and there are some few cities in Belgium where black people died. I say much, but what I can say about the Cameroonian community is that we have many doctors here working in hospitals, and we already have one of them who passed away 2 weeks ago, and it was very sad in the community, in the scientific community and the medical community. But many Cameroonians are doctors here, and I think that we can be proud of them, of what they are doing in hospitals. In the rest of the Cameroonian community, I didn't heard about a huge quantity or some even people that died, but in the Congolese one, yes. In the Congolese, there are many people that passed away, and especially people linked to churches. And it seems that some of them have not took the good attitude at the beginning of the quarantine, and some of them try to continue to have their office, and that's why many black people passed away, but things are going better now.
And the COVID-19 figures are still rising in your home country, Cameroon. Today, Cameroon is counting close to 2,500 COVID-19 confirmed cases in the country. What do you think about the situation of Cameroon and the response, the COVID-19 response of the government?
I think that the government, we all know, do not take seriously this issue, did not address seriously this issue, and I think that Cameroonians have to count over their own forces. That's why I try to encourage everyone that who wants to do something for the population or for himself to continue and not wait for the government, because what we saw is that all measures that have been taken by the brave Mr. Minister Manauda seems more like measures that come flip-flop, like they say, the open says as well comes at all. There is no coherent and strategic plan to fight against COVID in Cameroon. That's why I think an initiative like the last one that civil society took around Monseigneur Cléda, His Excellency Monseigneur Cléda, I think this is what we have to do in Cameroon, try to come together, or things like what Professor Camto is doing, or many other people. That means trying to manage the crisis by ourselves and not waiting for these absent governments and absent presidents that do not care about our situation, the situation of the people. They don't care before, they don't care now, they will never care about Cameroonian situation. It is not something amazing.
All right, your organization, the Cameroon Patriotic Diaspora, has issued a declaration on the Ngarbu massacre of 14 February 2020 after the findings of the inquiry commission set up by government were made public by the presidency of the republic. Why are you not satisfied with that, the findings of that commission?
First of all, I think, as you know, in Cameroon, when you see such commission and such press release, because I want to notice that we are just talking about a press release. We have never read the report with all the details. We just read a press release. When such press release comes out in Cameroon, it means that things are burning in the government hands, and they always try to lower the pressure and not to solve the problem. We know that Ngarbu is just like a visible side of an iceberg. That means that there is a systematic way of doing that the Cameroonian army uses in northwest and southwest regions against civilian population, and that normally such reports should lead to a change, a radical change of policy, of army policy. But what we see is that in that press release, they once more try to put the responsibility on some few soldiers, even not officers. And I think this is it's the way the government always do that. And that's why for us it is not, we are not happy of that. Many other situations have been the same in Northwest and Southwest. We are talking about the carnage of Abana in the Ndiang division that made more than 40 deaths, more than in Ngarbu. The killing of Fongom that made 30 deaths, more than in Ngarbu. And about all these and many other massacres, they said nothing. They set up no commission, and it is they said nothing about that. And that's why we say that Ngarbu, we have just forced them to say something about Ngarbu, but even what they say is just like lies or trying to hide their own responsibility.
As far as the Ngarbu massacre is concerned, government has recognized the responsibility of the military as far as that incident is concerned. But the other ones that you're mentioning, government is throwing the blame on the separatist fighters, but you are accusing the military. What are the proofs that you have to back up what you're saying as far as the actions of the military is concerned?
here we are talking about what is more important here is the fact that the strategy of the army is a scattered strategy that has been set up from the beginning of this armed crisis. That means that the army did not only fight against these armed gangs, but the army fights also against the population that is supposed to support these armed gangs, even if they don't have any proof of this support. And that's what we are blaming. We are saying that the way the Cameroonian army is leading the struggle against the so-called Ambazonian forces is not just a normal war. It is a civil war, of course, but also it is a war against the population. And we are talking about that. Of course, the armed gangs also are not free of massacres. We know that, and we also blame that. We are not saying that they have one side that is white and the other that is black. We just want that the gun stops now, and the army, the Cameroonian government, has the power to launch a ceasefire and to make that everything in that part of the country could be less, how can I say, bloody, less bloody than now.
How important is it to investigate all the other atrocities that you mentioned earlier committed in different parts of the two Anglophone regions of the country?
It is important to investigate for all the others, because this investigation for us has two main purposes. The first one is to try to recognize that civilian population has been killed by the army. That means that they deserve something from the society, from the community, like they said they are going to do for the family of Ngabo's victims. That is the first purpose, to recognize that people have been killed while they were not involved in the battle. So it is a question of justice for those people, first of all. And the second main purpose is to prove that this war will always bring such massacres and carnage, because it is not, how would I say, it is not a traditional war, it is not a conventional war. It means that the way the armed gang or Ambazonian, so-called Ambazonian forces are fighting will always bring our army to kill innocents. And that's why we want this war to stop. So the investigation on all the other massacres has those two purposes for us. First of all, justice for the people, and secondary, to show that we will not go out of this kind of war. We will not stop massacres, because the nature of this war is a civilian war. We have to solve it politically and not by force.
Now, how to put an end to all what is happening in the northwest and southwest regions of the country? The killings, the destruction of properties, people who are tortured, is a converging point where almost everybody will certainly meet. And the issue is that your organization took part in the major national dialogue. Until now, the situation has not improved. Rather, there has been a continuation of the killings, the destruction of properties going on. And the question now is, what is not being done right? By who? For all these to come to an end?
I didn't listen I didn't hear well your question. I think you said that we took part in the national dialogue. You said it.
Go on, please. Go on.
No, we didn't take part in the BIA dialogue. I want just to first say that we didn't take part in the BIA dialogue of last October, November. But what we said is that they need a national inclusive dialogue so that the political solution could be put on the table to be discussed by all the parties. And for that, to answer to your question, we think that the first thing that has not yet been done by the government is try to address the issue politically. For example, the president of, the so-called president of Cameroon, Mr. Paul Biya, have never made any visit in those two regions since the beginning of this crisis. This is for us like an insult to the population. It is rather like saying that you are not mine, I'm not concerned by your problem. This is really a fault. It is a political fault. It is a professional fault from this president, for example, to begin by himself. The government tried to do something when Mr. Macron told them to do something, as you know, but it was not really to solve the problem, rather than to answer or to obey to an order that came from France. That's why we didn't trust in all what went out from this dialogue. So for us, we need really to put everybody together from each part of the country, not only political parties, but also civil society, and of course, all those who claim to want an independence in Amazonia. We think that they should release the political prisoners that are jailed because of this crisis. It is important for them to take part in that dialogue. So the first thing the government has to do is try to show some signs of appeasement. That means, for example, how can I say it? Making a ceasefire first, declare a ceasefire, even unilaterally, and after that, try to release, at least to put them in some houses that, I don't know how they say it in English, to tell you, résidence surveillée. So they need to be at least there so that they can have contact with their relatives, with their comrades, political comrades, and try to organize a real dialogue. I think if we begin by that, things are going to will be better, and we are going to change things in Cameroon very quickly instead of just counting death after death.
All right, the diaspora, some members of the diaspora took place in the major national dialogue. But from what you have just said now, I understand that those who took part in the major national dialogue were not members of the CPD, and now you're asking for a proper dialogue to be organized to find solutions. So the Anglophone crisis, that was Dr. Moise Esso joining us from Brussels. He is the communication secretary of the Cameroon Patriotic Diaspora. Thanks for staying with us in this edition of the news. Goodbye.